And it may not even be the case, right? That the situation that's happening may not even be the case. It may not even be your new partner's intent. But because it reminds you of that thing, you're going to react in a negative way. Hello, beautiful creatures. Welcome to my channel. I am Meradia, the Witch of Dark Light, and I hope you all are doing well. So this video is going to be, I haven't done one of these in a long time. It's going to be kind of just a sit back and relax, little magic talk. It's going to be mainly one thing I want to talk about, but I'm just going to share with you some of my recent thoughts and some things I feel is not spoken about. If you want to sit with me and hear what it is that I have to say, maybe a little tangent, a rant, just a little magic talk, grab a seat. And if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. Please do consider subscribing. I love all of you that are here with me and subscribed. And even if you're not, I love you too. So let's just get into it.
Can't have one without the other. The dark without the light.
So what I want to talk about is healing from trauma and how that affects your relationship and how that affects your magic and what happens as a result of these things. So first, we all have some sort of trauma. And I'm going to be specifically talking about the trauma, the pain that has been caused by a loved one, a partner. And it could be the one that you're with. It could be other people that you have been with and they've caused you pain and now you're in another relationship. So I want to talk about that pain, right? What happens is, so I'm just going to give you like the basic, typical example. First, maybe you've been with someone, they cheated on you, they treated you bad, they didn't, at least you felt like they didn't respect you, and you know, they treated you bad and they left the bad taste in your mouth. So that relationship is over and you go on, and because you made light of it, right, you're like, okay, I'm not with that person anymore, I'm gonna move on. Then you meet somebody else, and then you bring that baggage into that relationship, which most of us do, and we bring that into the relationship. And what happens is, when things that remind you of what that other person did happen, the reaction from your subconscious, stands up like, oh, wait a minute. And it may not even be the case, right? That the situation that's happening may not even be the case. It may not even be your new partner's intent. But because it reminds you of that thing, you're going to react in a negative way. Then what happens is, maybe that relationship breaks up. and then you go on to the next, bringing that baggage in, because in your mind it didn't work and that person treated you wrong because it was in connection with the way you felt about the first relationship. So the next example is, say you meet someone and you bring a little baggage in, right? You bring some baggage in that relationship, but the real pain and trauma happens in that relationship and you're still with that person and you haven't dealt, it just builds up. So the reason why it builds up and it's not being dealt with is, one, because maybe you don't know how, and maybe you don't even know the root or cause of it. You just know that you two are getting to arguments, things are happening, and it's like it's not going well. But what happens is, we all have pain and trauma. So your partner, who you are expecting to behave in a certain way, has these traumas that is communicating with your traumas. So you have this relationship of traumas going on and it's always like the bumping of the heads. And I'm going to speak right now as a woman, because this is what I can speak to, right? This is my experience. Women tend to hold on and harbor things in their heart. They carry it, right? Because we're naturally receptive, and we carry things. So it builds up and it hardens. And women are very empathetic and very intuitive. So what happens is, and I've seen it done several times, quite a few times, woman is so, it's like the evil eye, so full of hate, anger, and rage and hurt, and they emulate that energy constantly out of that person, causing, you're doing magic, you're manifesting magic, causing pain mentally and physically to their partner. The whole time I've seen partners get heart attacks, I've seen partners get strokes, because that powerful feeling, emotion of hate and anger and rage has been emulated over time to that person. So what I want to say is, whoever, I'm talking to both parties, right? Not just women, both partners, right? You have to be the one to say, I'm going to take my wall down. Why? Let me give you an example. You're angry about something that your partner did, and not saying you're wrong or right. That's your emotion. You have the right to that emotion. You have that emotion, and then you're wondering why your partner doesn't come to you and communicate and talk about it and try to work it out. You're wondering why. I'll tell you why. Because, and there could be other reasons too, but this is the main one. Again, you are emulating this energy. You can have a smile on your face. You could be talking pleasant, having a pleasant tone. But that rage, hate, and anger inside of you is jumping out. I assure you, it is jumping out. So they feel that. So they aren't going to come to you. They are not. I wouldn't. I wouldn't come to someone that is, you feel the energy first before the person even steps in the room. You feel the energy coming through the door first. So would you want to have to fight through that and worry about being rejected in that conversation? So that is the reason why you have to work on yourself. If you want a healthy relationship to begin to take place, you have to work on yourself. As long as you have your wall up, you healing you will not work. As long as your heart is stone, you healing you will not work. You have to open up. You have to be receptive to feeling that pain so that you can work through it. You don't, who wants to feel pain, right? You want to shut it down. And then you begin to walk in denial. It ain't going anywhere. It's still there. And I'm talking about this because it affects your magic. And especially if you are someone that is casting magic, someone that does spell work, anything that has to do with you wanting to set intentions and manifest, you are casting magic on your partner without even knowing it. You are casting magic on your partner. And that is dangerous, because these things turn into curses, and especially over time, these things turn into, you could create your own thupa, right? You could create your own thought form, and that thought form turns into this angry beast that attacks your partner because you have put so much energy into the anger and rage. Then you now have this monster that attacks for you. That is a thing. This is possible. So I wanted to bring this to awareness because it is so prevalent in the world today, where we're all traumatized, and we have been traumatized in some shape or form in our lives. So this is the thing that I feel like when you talk about magic, when you talk about your spiritual workings, these things need to be included in that as well. Understanding that if you want to manifest a magical life, that begins with you taking down your wall and saying, this is painful, this hurts, but I know that in order for it to go away, in order for it to heal, some things never go away. Some things are so painful that that memory is seared into you, but the pain of it will not affect you once you work through it. For healing, for shadow work, you have to be the one in that relationship. You have to be the one. If you feel like you are your partner, if you're the one, because maybe your partner feels that way too, but if you're the one that feels like they're not doing this and they're treating me like this, they're not even showing me love, I want flowers, I want them to do this, you have to make them want to do it, right? You have to, and I don't want to say, because that, because you can't just say you want to make them want to do it, but it really is that thing, right? Because if you know how to, now I'm talking about a woman again, if you know how to throw on the glamour, throw on the charm, and again, with your wall up and your heart of stone, you cannot do that. It will not be effective, especially with whatever the level of your hate and anger is inside. But when you begin to work on that, you can set the intention for work on Fridays with Venus to draw in the glamour and love for yourself. Fall in love with yourself. This will be the thing that begins to emulate out of you, causing you to be receptive, causing the allure and the glamour to your partner. Be the thing that changes in your relationship. And I know this is not magic. I'm not doing spell work, or I'm not, talking about spirits that I'm working with or anything like that. But I think this is very important, because this causes physical pain. This can cause, serious pains, serious diseases. This affects us physically. I'm gonna share with you some ways that I feel like you can work through this, right? Because I don't want to say all of this and not give solutions, right? Side of you acknowledging, saying, okay, I'm going to be the one to fix myself and not expect someone else to fix me. There's things that you could do, right? You can begin to do energy work and work on understanding how meditation and vibrations can align your chakras to potentially break through those things, the energy that has been stagnant from the hate, anger, and rage. So find out ways that you can break through to help you work through healing, transmuting those energies. Maybe Fridays, dedicate every Friday to setting out 5 minutes, hopefully more, but at least 5 minutes to set somewhere. Give yourself some roses. Make some rose spray. Just put a little water, some hydrogen peroxide, and a couple of drops of rose essential oil. Spritz that as you sit there. Turn on some music, and you're romancing yourself. You're not doing this to prepare yourself for someone. You're preparing yourself for you. So spend every Friday doing that. Like, get excited that you're going on a date with yourself. During this whole process of you doing that, write down all the things that you hate. Do this every new moon. And this is what people typically do. This is why you always see someone writing down the things that they want to burn and get rid of, releasing. So every new moon, do a ritual where you are saying that this is the thing that is in you. During the new moon, you burn what you no longer want, and during the full moon, you write what you see yourself as if it happened. Do that during the full moon. Just find some sort of ritual that is dedicated to you, that's dedicated to tapping into you healing your traumas. These are all things that are done when working with shadow work. I don't want to say sit down and journal because I'm tired of saying that, but I think the most effective, because these things really, because emotions is so strong, I think the most effective thing is using sound and frequency to break through the sound that is in alignment with each chakra, those tones. Work on that, whether it's singing bowls or tuning forks or playing binaural beats on YouTube, but work on aligning your chakra points. Work on that, because these are energetic points in your body that are in alignment with your nervous system and your organs. And even chanting. I always say on this channel, chant and vibrate the word This is why you'll find, and if you know anything about ceremonial magic, when they say the prayers and things and say the angels' names or demonic names, they are vibrating these words of power, because the vibration of this makes it come to life. So work on vibrating words of power. Make up something. Make up some words. Just make up a sentence. I love me, and you vibrate it. I love me. Like, you just, make up something and it will feel good. You will begin to feel something breaking up inside of you. Then you'll be able to think, right? Because you get to the point where you are so angry that you can't even think. Some people black out. When they get angry, they black out and they can't even think. After it's all over, you're like, you know what? That wasn't the smartest thing to do. I don't know why I did that. You did it because these are things that aren't dealt with, and they take over because they're like building up inside, and they take over in an argument. This is the card that I pulled. I was sitting down thinking about all of this, and something said pull a card. It took me, I'm shuffling, it took just like 1, 2, boom, and this card jumps out. So I'm like, okay, this must be the card. I pick it up and I looked at it and laughed. So this is the Hermetic tarot deck, and the card is Princess of Swords. So I'm going to show you the card here. I'll look at the book, right? And I'll look at what other people have said. But before I do that, I will look at the imagery and assess it and intuitively see what it is that I get out of the card. So the first thing I did was look at it and laugh, because this looks like, it could be, the head of Medusa. And then you see this woman here with a sword, and she looks like she's just like her, like, upper body is out, and she's covered below. But when you think about Medusa, right, you think about the patriarchy and how the things that have happened to women and the trauma women have been through and how they were oppressed. So then you see this woman here with a sword, like enough. So that's the thing that happens in relationships, right? You have an imbalance of the masculine and feminine, because so for the woman, you're naturally receptive, and if that's taken away, if you have been hardened, you shut that down, and what happens is you don't want to be hurt anymore, so you take control. You take on that masculine energy and want that anger and hate and rage, and you take control of the situation. You initiate the situation because you don't want to be hurt anymore. So then that's that imbalance, because it's an overabundance of masculinity. And then you might have the male who naturally, has all of this masculine energy. But then that's broken because they're feeling inadequate, because usually men want to be seen as the provider or the one that can help protect. But that's broken when they see their partner is broken, and then so they're deflated and they're not working in their masculine truths. You have that imbalance, and this is where a lot of the friction comes in. You're wondering when you're in an argument, like, what is even happening? I know in the first couple of years, well, I'm not gonna say first more than a couple of years in the beginning of our marriage, we had quite a many fights. And when the fight was over, we're like, what? Why? And what happened? Why did we even get here? Why were we arguing? And it wasn't until years later that we figured out things, and we realized, despite what our disagreements was, we both were in each other's corners, and we both loved one another. We didn't want to cause pain to one another. So with that foundation being understood, then whenever we disagreed about something, it didn't escalate, because we knew we weren't out to hurt one another, and that we trust and love one another. So it took a minute, but when that's broken, when that foundation is not there, your arguments definitely escalate. And if you feel like you resonated with this, just know that you aren't alone. There's like a gazillion people out here that are going through this pain. Some don't show it, some work through it, some are in denial, and they just go about their day to day and thinking that suppressing it is going to send it away. But just don't give up, and maybe do some of those things that I mentioned, or find something that works for you in your daily routines and your daily practice that highlights the fact that you are working on healing, and it's helping you take your wall down. Because once your wall is down, then you can begin to see clearer and work on the issues. I've been through and still go through, there's things that happen throughout your life. It doesn't end, when you get to a certain age. The trauma doesn't stop coming. There's always something. So you're always constantly working on healing. And so I think that is something that should be more talked about. So until the next video, I love you all, and into the shadows.